What's up, True Crime World? You're here with Illuminal on the Wall. I'm Bevy.
And I'm Becky. And today we are discussing a cold case that went unsolved for 35 years. But due to genealogical DNA testing, the police caught their man. This is the case of Byron Carr. Listeners' discretion is advised.
Yiggity yo, what's up to all of our True Crime followers and listeners?
All right, to be clear, Bev started this off saying, I want to say howdy to all our listeners. She hits record. Yiggity yo! Yes. Yes, hello to everyone.
Hi, guys.
Yes, hey, Bev.
Hey, Bex.
How's it going over there? Just dandy. Glad to hear it. Bev's silent because, well,
as we've told you before,
she got her ass whipped.
No!
In pickleball.
Because I hate that question, but yes, I did also get my ass whipped in pickleball.
By who? Go ahead, Bev, say it. Go ahead. It was me!
I don't even think my whisper registered. You just sound like a psycho.
It was me! Oh, great. Oh, great. Anyways.
She's proud of herself.
Well, yeah, I had a good victory. This
weekend.
weekend. We've been playing pickleball the last couple weeks with your friends. And it's been a freaking good time. We love pickleball. Everyone's really improved. However, your good friend Jackie somewhat insisted that we do singles.
Yeah, she did.
And now, if anyone remembers from like a couple weeks back, I don't mind that. The mic, I hit it. I injured my knee a couple weeks back. And so I was kind of scared to do singles because all the, like stop and go, moving, I was nervous about. But it turns out my knee was fine and I just kept winning. And really, then it came down to Bev and I was like, oh no, sister rivalry. And then go ahead, feel free to repeat what happened, Bev.
You narrowly escaped loss.
I mean, it was a good rally. But I won.
Do you like how I worded that?
Yes, narrowly.
In the negative way. The most negative way I could possibly articulate your win.
But I still won, so
yeah.
You do whatever you need to do.
Yeah, she won against all of us. So
yeah.
There's that. But he's just a little athletic little homie at heart.
That's right. I'm an all-around athlete. I got a wicked backhand, let me tell you. Every time I did it, Bev's like, oh, missed that one. You did.
Yeah, I liked it when you were on my team. I was like, sweet.
Oh, I'm digging that backhand.
Good.
Yeah.
And then I played against you, and I was like, damn it. You just got to balls that I couldn't. No?
That's the sign of a winner.
Balls. Can hit them balls.
That's right. All right.
Shake them balls. Squeeze them balls. Lick them balls. I'm being gross. I know.
I hope that nasty sound registered because you truly get to see who Bev is in a nutshell.
I'm a freakity freak.
That's how you guess so.
Ew.
Well, anyways, Bev, before you get any more freaky, let's get into the case.
Okay.
So, first of all, it's Canadian.
Yeah.
Second, I gotta send out a big shout out to Carolyn because she sent me this. One of our valued listeners.
Thanks, Carolyn.
Yes, thank you. It was very interesting to research and learn. But she sent the idea to us, so now we're covering it. So again, thanks. So today's case takes us to Charlottetown, Prince Edward Island, Canada. Somewhere neither of us have been.
That's
right,
true, yeah.
Our dad did go about a year ago.
Oh, yeah, he did. He brought us sand back.
I didn't get any sand.
Oh.
Anyways, so PEI in the 80s... It was a small province of Canada, known for its scenic landscapes, farming, and fishing communities. Its economy relied heavily on agriculture, particularly potato farming, as well as tourism, thanks to the island's natural beauty and association with Anne of Green Gables. And our case today is about a man named Byron Carr. He was born and raised in Charlottetown. Not much is publicly known about his childhood, but by all accounts, he grew up in a close-knit, supportive family on the island. As a young man, Byron pursued a career in teaching, eventually becoming a well-respected educator at Montague Regional High School in Charlottetown. He was beloved by students and colleagues alike. Outside of his work, Byron was known for his kindness and generosity. He loved rock and roll and enjoyed hosting a good dinner party with his loved ones. On the morning of Saturday, November 12, 1988, 36-year-old Byron Carr failed to attend a family gathering. His family became concerned because, like many of our other cases, he just did not show up, and this was not normal for him. So, his family went to Byron's house on Lapthorne Ave. When they first went in, they found his beloved dog in its kennel, alone. This was very confusing to them, because he normally let his dog roam. Eventually, they made their way into Byron's bedroom, and to their shock and horror, they found Byron dead on his bedroom floor. He had been strangled and stabbed. Immediately, they called the police, and when they arrived, the police noticed the statement written on the wall in blue pen, "I will kill again." They took note that Byron's wallet was missing. Within their search, they found a pair of men's underwear that looked like it didn't belong. They were a size small, bikini-style Zellers brand underwear. The investigators also found a pair of men's socks in the garbage can. After speaking to Byron's family, friends, and neighbors, they started developing a timeline. On Thursday, November 10th, Byron had some friends over and they told police that they had left his house around 11 p.m. While they were there, Byron had gotten a phone call or two, and it was a different friend group confirming their plans to go out later to the bars that evening. Now, this may have seemed odd on a Thursday, but this was the beginning of a long weekend.
Ah, I see.
Yes, party time. And then later that evening, Byron and friends had done some bar hopping and went to 3 different bars in downtown Charlottetown. They said they were out until about 2 a.m., and after leaving the bars, Byron and 2 of his friends went back to Byron's house and hung out a bit longer. And then they left around 2:45 a.m. It was through these conversations with Byron's friends that detectives learned that Byron was gay. And by 1988, he had become heavily involved in the developing LGBTQ community in PEI. Despite his work within the community, he had not come out to his family and friends yet.
Okay, so this could be a potential reason why there was like unknown male socks and underwear at his home.
Exactly. Now, to kind of put it in perspective, the reason why he hadn't come out to his friends and family was because in the 80s, the social acceptance of homosexuality was still pretty limited, particularly in smaller conservative communities like PEI. Even though homosexuality was decriminalized in Canada in 1969. Which, to be honest, Bev, when I read that, I was shocked. Floored. Dumbfounded that it was even criminalized in the first place.
Yeah, it is very odd that someone's sexual desires... No,
preferences.
You know what? It's not that weird. I mean, like, okay, the only thing that's not weird, as soon as I said that, I think it's weird to have homosexuality criminalized. I think that is weird. I agree with you. But then I thought, as soon as I said it's weird, I thought, well, you know, like, cannibalism should be criminalized. You know, like, wanting to have sex with children should be criminalized. And I was like, those are all sexual preferences, technically.
So you're
I was like,
let me eat my words.
I can kind of see why sexual preferences could be criminalized, but when it comes to just, like, which gender you would like to be attracted to, that's weird.
Yes.
Right? Like, you're not hurting anybody by being attracted to the same sex.
Absolutely not.
But I think a lot of, like, institutions were very much founded, or, like, their foundations came from religious components. Like, I do feel that. And so I think that could be why it was, you know, like, back in the day.
Yeah, like, that was spread into the broader population.
Yeah, and it was just, like, such a big part of institutions, like, even in schools, right? Like,
yeah, I guess so. But it was wrong nonetheless.
Yeah.
And for the record, we don't support that.
We don't support that. I don't support that at all.
No, we don't.
So I could see why at this time, like, coming out socially was tough, just because I'm sure it wasn't as acceptable in this day and age.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And so not only was it socially unacceptable, but the relationship between the police and the gay community in PEI was strained. And there was a lot of distrust toward the police. And I mean, this is not isolated to PEI. It was much like in many other parts of Canada and North America during that time as well.
Right.
So throughout this investigation, unfortunately, Byron's sexuality became very publicized. It was virtually his coming out, and he was dead. So this is the first time a lot of his friends and family are hearing of this.
Right.
The police believe that Byron's murder was connected to a consensual sexual encounter that happened on November 11th with another man, putting the gay community under increased scrutiny, and many within the community were hesitant to come forward or cooperate with the police, fearing harassment, judgment, or exposure in, as we talked about, a very conservative society where homosexuality was still stigmatized. So because it was harder for people to come forward and maybe there were more witnesses than they thought.
Yeah, or people who just knew more.
Yeah, the police had pretty little to go on at that point. And what they did know about Byron's death is Byron died between 3:30 and 9 a.m. on Friday, November 11th. His cause of death was strangulation. His stab wound was done post-mortem.
Meaning after death.
Yep. The underwear that was found was not Byron's. His wallet had been stolen. There were socks in the garbage. The house had been ransacked. There was no sign of forced entry. The back door was found open. And Byron frequented Queen's Square in downtown Charlottetown. This was a known spot for the LGBTQ community to meet other people in a somewhat discreet way. His dog was in his kennel, and they knew that Byron only put it in there when strangers were coming over.
So had Byron met someone that night and brought them home that he wasn't particularly familiar with?
Exactly, and that's exactly what the police were wondering. On top of that, Byron's neighbors saw two men driving a car they had never seen in the area before, and the police assumed that these men were the suspect and accomplice. They had returned to the home 2 separate times, once on Friday, November 11th, the day that Byron had been murdered, and then just after midnight on November 12th. So that was the day that his family found him dead.
Right. So they were there very early on that day before he was found.
Yes. Now, police believe that why they had returned was to look for the underwear. They believed that when the men could not find the underwear, that one of the men had stabbed Byron post-mortem and wrote on the wall, "I will kill again." They thought this was an act of rebellion and frustration because they could not find the underwear. Now, despite all this information, Byron's case went cold for a total of 35 years.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Eventually, there was a development in the case. They found DNA on the underwear that was found at the scene.
Amazing.
Yes, there was male and female DNA present.
Wow, that's kind of like threw me for a loophole there.
Yeah, you didn't see that coming. Yeah. Now, with that information, the police thought that the killer could have been bisexual, but they really had no idea.
Yeah, they're just speculating,
Yeah.
right? They're trying to make sense of this all.
Exactly. Now, in May of 2001, a full male DNA profile was made, and it was added to the database, but there was no matches. And the case again went cold until 2007, when it was reopened by Brad McConnell, who is currently chief of police in Charlottetown. In September 2007, the police released a public request for anyone with knowledge of Byron's murder to come forward. And fortunately, they had some witnesses come forward. One of Byron's friends came forward and said around 2:45 and 3 a.m., Byron spotted him walking home and picked him up and took him home. He said Byron went out and continued driving around. Another man came forward and said a couple months after Byron's murder, he met a man downtown, took him home, and had sex. After, the man became violent, stole his wallet at knife point, and said he had done this before. Now, in order to get more from this man, it was so long ago, they put him under hypnosis to create a composite drawing of said man. However, when they came up with some people in a lineup from back in the 80s, the man was unable to pick anyone out of the lineup. So that could either mean that he really had no idea, his memory wasn't great, or the guy just wasn't in the lineup.
However, this guy's story is compelling enough that they're putting him under hypnosis and actually believe that, it could be worth something, right?
Yeah, and that it could help solve Byron's murder.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
Wallet missing, knife as a weapon, that kind of thing.
There are some similarities.
Right? So
Now, from this composite drawing, they put it out in the public if anyone knew, and they also just gave a description of what the man looked like. And the description was a white male who was about 19 years old, average build with auburn hair. And when I read this, I kind of laughed because I'm like, that is the most like generic sounding description ever. There is not one thing that would make this man like stand out
to somebody.
Yeah.
Not only that, like he was probably 19 years old or around that at the time. Like this is like a man, like old man, you know?
Yeah, right?
Not like super old. I mean, but like 55?
Yeah.
Approximately around there. Like,
yep.
Oh my gosh. Like, you have in brackets in the writing of this, very generic. And after I was like, oh, he's like an old man, I thought it said very geriatric. And I was like, oh, wait a second.
Yeah, he's very geriatric.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To anyone who's 55 and listening to this, that is no. I do not think 55 is geriatric, okay? Just saying.
Misread.
Don't come for me.
Yeah. It says very generic. All right, jump forward a year. In 2008, another person came forward that said they knew Byron and said that they saw him the night he was murdered. He had been driving his 1987 Ford White Tempo, and just after 3 a.m., he stopped to talk to a man on a bike on the corner of Prince and Richmond Street. This was just 5 minutes away from his home. The witness said the man followed Byron on his bike. The police wanted to make sure that he was telling the truth, and they actually got this witness to take a polygraph test about their statement, and they passed.
Interesting. We could say, like, he could truly believe that this was Byron, right?
Yes.
So he could pass due to that,
as
opposed to this actually being, like, something that happened in relation to Byron and whatever.
Yeah. And at the very least, they want to just make sure regardless of what he saw, that he's telling the truth, that he did see something, right?
He's not just making some shit up.
Because, you know, it's, 2008? That's 20 years later. Like, you gotta watch out for people who just want their name in the paper or something, right?
True.
Now, this witness corroborated what the other victim said their suspect looked like. The whole generic thing, it kind of was a theme across the board there.
Okay.
Now, after hearing this, they believe their suspect lived in Charlottetown at the time, and they believe that he most likely had a misdemeanor or some other crimes under his belt. So in November of 2009, a statement from the police was made in which they showed the public the notorious underwear displayed on a mannequin to show the type of stature the suspect had. Combining that with the composite drawing and the description, they hoped that would spark someone's memory. The police also released a photo of the writing on the wall. And they did this because the writing was very distinctive. It was very like round looking, and the dot on the I was a circle. It wasn't just like a dot, it was like a
bubbly little circle, like bubble writing or something.
Yeah, exactly. When they released these things, 2 more witnesses came forward, and they said they knew who the accomplice was. And they knew it because he had told them what happened. These 2 witnesses were able to tell the police that the killer and accomplice had both gone back to Byron's home to clean up and find the underwear.
What?
Yes.
No.
In doing so, they also ransacked the house, but did not find the underwear. So they left out the back door. The accomplice said he had worn the socks on his hands, so he would not leave any evidence.
No fingerprints.
Yep.
Whoa. This kind of ticks a lot of, I don't know, just like things that I was thinking, like the back door being open. I thought, oh, that's probably their escape route. That's just what I thought. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I guess just that one, really. But then also the cops, it checks off their boxes of like going back to the scene of the crime to get underwear that they left and not being able to find it.
Well, and the neighbors seeing them
go back.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of like
dead. It matches what the cops already know.
Right. It's promising.
Yeah. Now, the unfortunate thing is that these 2 witnesses never got the name of the killer. So they knew the accomplice, but not the killer. And again, like we just said, the cops were intrigued because they had details that the public was not privy to. So when the police were given the name of the accomplice, they realized that this man had died 10 years prior and could not be questioned.
No.
So dead end right there.
It's kind of odd, though, because we know that there was both a male and female DNA found on the underwear. So, like, is the killer a woman? I don't know.
That's a good question, Bev.
Because, like, obviously this person who died, the accomplice, was a male.
Yes.
So it makes me wonder.
That's right.
Or was there DNA on the underwear just randomly, that had nothing to do with the crime? Who knows? But the gearbox is switching up in my head.
Making you think. Good.
The gears are turning. I was like, why did I say it like that? The gearbox.
That's not something you normally would say.
No, I meant to say the gears are turning,
Yeah.
But alas.
And all those thoughts going through your gearbox. Brilliant, Bev.
Yeah.
What is even more interesting, Bev, is that this accomplice was initially on the police's original suspect list. And it was long, and it was kind of like a generic list. It wasn't like, oh, for sure they're a suspect. It was like, look at all the potential people. But he was on that list nonetheless. Now, after those two witnesses come forward, years go by with minimal information. But jump forward to January of 2024. An arrest is made 35 years after the death of Byron Carr. The man's name? Todd Joseph Gallant, or sometimes he goes by Irving. He was arrested at 11:55 a.m. on January 25th, 2024. And the following day, on the 26th, he was charged with 1 count of first-degree murder and 1 count of interfering with human remains.
Okay, so the female DNA theory that I had, out the fucking window.
Yep.
My question, though, is how was the accomplice's name on that suspect list? Like, did they know Byron? Like, how would they have gotten that person on their suspect list when they virtually didn't have much to go off of? A friend of a friend?
Yeah, that's a good question, Bev. I honestly have no idea.
Interesting. I'd be interested to see, like, I wish I could ask the popo.
The interesting thing is I tried to find the name of the accomplice.
You couldn't?
Couldn't.
Nowhere.
It was said that they didn't release it because he was dead and they kind of just wanted to save face a little bit. Because he was not the killer.
Right.
So, just a little bit of that. But so, anyways, there was no woman involved in this scenario. Now, how they landed on Todd was through genealogical searches. And they did this by sending in the original pair of underwear that was found at the scene for a much more detailed analysis of the DNA, which they were not able to do at the original time of the crime.
Or at least when they tested it, probably because technology just wasn't as advanced, right?
Well, exactly. So after that was tested, they do the genealogical searches, and bam, they navigate their way to Todd Joseph Irving. When they looked into Todd, they realized he had a previous criminal record, just like the Charlottetown police thought he would. He had records in Canada, Texas, and Arkansas. He was previously convicted of a B&E in Prince Edward Island in 1987. That was just a year before Byron's death. Todd had left PEI sometime after 1988 and returned in 2022.
1988 was the year that Byron died, right?
Exactly, yep. Now, he was arrested in early 2024. And the most recent update I can find for his case is that currently they are trying to figure out if he will be able to post bail after this crime, while the Crown and defense are building their cases for trial.
Okay, so they have a DNA that matches Todd, found at the crime scene.
On the underwear.
And he's currently going through the process of being convicted of first-degree murder.
Yeah, they haven't set a trial date, which I would assume in the next year and a half it will happen. I think I read that September 10th was going to be his bail hearing. However, I have not read any updates since July of this year.
So you haven't seen any?
Yeah, I could not find a single thing saying, did he get bail or not? So, doubtful. Anyways, we're going to have to keep you posted on this within a year or two. There should be a conviction, I'm assuming. But Bev.
Wow, waiting 35 plus years for justice to be served, hey?
Exactly. What a long road.
Yeah. I'll be interested to hear, like, what else comes out.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the reason for the crime. Like, was it just a random thing where, it was a crime of passion? Or
was he just an asshole who killed him after they had sex?
Like, what? maybe Byron like put up a fight or something and he wanted to threaten him to take his wallet and
He didn't want that.
I don't know.
Exactly.
But he died of strangulation, right? Not even of like a stab wound.
Yeah,
So,
that was post-mortem. He had no defensive
say.
wounds on his arms, so they definitely know it was post-mortem.
Yeah, definitely. Interesting. Wow. Damn, that like genealogy stuff, right? Like ancestry, DNA.
I love it.
Bringing
You know what?
people to justice.
If I have any
crime
long lost,
at a time.
yeah, you know what? If we have any long lost relatives that have committed a major crime, I have no problem putting my DNA out there.
Yeah, no, me either.
Like, I hope my DNA one day gets solved. I hope my DNA is used to solve a crime. That would be so cool.
That would be cool.
Of someone else's, of course, not mine. A long lost relative I am.
Wow.
Anyways, Bev, that is all I have for you today. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for sharing. And just your weekly reminder to download our weekly episodes, follow us on Spotify or Apple Music or whatever streaming platform you listen to us on, and give us a follow on our social medias. You can find us at Luminol on the Wall. Can't wait till next week.